and glory, America. Bonjour. Hi, Canada. Hugh Hewitt live from Studio West. Hope you watched the Washington Post live today at 9 a.m. I'm joining that broadcast along with Ruth Marcus and Jonathan Capehart. But right now it's time for Sonny Bunch, the official movie critic of the Hugh Hewitt Show. Sonny Bunch, you cannot talk me into going to Ant-Man. Am I wrong?
No, it's really not for anything but the hardcore, die-hard Marvel fan, Hugh. I got to be honest. This is. I feel like the wheels are starting to come off the Marvel car here a little bit. We're now entering Phase 5 of the Marvel movie. So famously, the Marvel movies have kind of sectioned themselves off into phases, right? Phase 1. Were the first Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor movies, and Iron Man 2, I think, was also Phase 1. But those were the movies that built towards the first Avengers movie. And then, in Phase 2, they were building towards the second Avengers movie, Phase 3 towards the third. And then Phase 4 was a weird one because this was after Avengers Endgame. The series was kind of resetting. They lost a bunch of their normal stars, their big stars, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans. They were done playing their various roles as Iron Man and Captain America. And Phase 4 was kind of adrift. There wasn't a whole lot of continuity there.
Do you think that the critics view that they peaked with Endgame and the Five Stones, and that after that it's all kind of...
Well, yeah. I mean, it's interesting because they were building toward a very specific thing, right? They were building toward this 2-part Avengers spectacular that was going to bring everyone from all the movies together, and they were all going to fight Thanos, who is the guy,
right,
the big purple monster who was assembling the Infinity Gauntlet to wipe out half the universe, right? And it worked. It worked. It was really well done. It was everything was kind of put together very nicely. They had a plan. They executed it well, and they built toward it fine. And now they basically have had to restart and reset and start over again. And they just it feels like they're kind of running in place here. I mean, so Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is the new one. Paul Rudd is back as Ant-Man. Like the previous 2 Ant-Mans, this is a very funny movie. Unlike the previous 2 Ant-Mans, this is a movie that is very much ensconced in the rest of the Marvel universe. They're using this to launch everything else that's going to come for the next year plus, the next 2 years up through the next Avengers movie. We're building towards Avengers, the Kang Wars or some such. And that means we get our first real look at the villain for this cycle of Marvel movies. He's a character called Kang the Conqueror. He is a time-hopping madman who is out there wiping out timelines and time universes. He's been imprisoned in the quantum realm, and the foolish Ant-Man and the Wasp and their daughter, Ant-Man's daughter. It's not really the Wasp's daughter. Anyway, they travel down to the quantum realm to do some exploring, and they find Kang, who has built it doesn't matter. None of this matters to you. The whole point is that it's designed to basically play as an episode of television. This is the season premiere of the new season of the MCU. They're trying to get folks ready for the next 4 or 5 movies here, and as a result, it's just a mess. It's a horrible mess.
So Sonny, where was Kang when Thanos was running wild?
Well, he was, he hanging out, just hanging out, kind of in the background.
Did he dissolve into dust like Nick Fury and everybody else, or did he last in the quantum? Did Thanos not count on the quantum realm?
Well, great question, Hugh. I mean, I assume they'll address this at some point. Did Thanos' snap only wipe out one half of one of the timelines? Because the whole point of this series of Marvel movies is the multiverse, the quantum mechanics of everything. In other words, multiple timelines, and when you make a different choice, it branches off into something else. Right? This is the whole point of the Loki series, which is what this movie kind of ties into and out of. Starring Tom Hiddleston as Loki. It's on Disney Plus. Very, very popular. People loved it, and it's going to be back in the next couple months here, I think. But yeah, this is so that's a great question for Kang. Did half of the Kangs get wiped out, or was it just?
I've got a buddy Schroeder who is very useless generally, but he does know his comic book stuff. So he normally brings me up to speed. I ask him what just happened, or I'll go to see the Marvel, and he'll explain to me who the various people are because he collected them and he knew it when he was young. I don't really care about the timeline. I don't care if it makes sense. If the movie is self-contained and fun, I'll go to see it. But I never thought Ant-Man was that funny or fun, even though I like Paul Rudd a lot. So to the average viewer out there who's not obsessed with Marvel, but who hasn't been able to go to a movie for 6 weeks because there's just nothing, is this it?
No, I just don't. I mean, look, I think this movie's going to do fine at the box office because every Marvel movie does fine at the box office. But I do think that we are starting to hit a point where, audiences... where Marvel is less of a sure thing than it used to be for audiences, right? You've got a series of real misses here now. The Eternals was a big miss. The Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, I think, was a pretty big miss. The Thor movie, Thor: Love and Thunder, a miss. Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness, a miss. Now, those movies all did well at the box office. Don't get me wrong. Eternals did the worst of all of them, but I think that was not expected to do as well. But these movies still did fine at the box office, right? Thor: Love and Thunder, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness. Those are all movies that grossed, I don't know, between $800 and $900 million, right? Or $800 and $1 billion almost, some of them. So they're still doing fine, but I do think audiences are starting to get like, do I really have to?
But publicly traded companies have to meet quarterly estimates. Quarterly estimates are built on box office estimates, and doing fine is not good for an earnings call.
Yeah, I mean, well, Disney is interesting because they do have a big Disney Plus revenue stream, though they're still not quite making money on that yet, and also the parks. So box office means a little less to Disney than it does to some of these other companies. But I agree. I mean, look, this is going to start to be a problem because they've built an empire that relies on, $700 to $900 million per movie at the box office.
Are they ever just going to go with Nick Fury does something new and that it becomes sort of a spy? Is there a spy thread here? Because that's what Nick Fury did for a long time, was just spies.
Yeah, well, I think there's either a TV show or a movie coming out that is based on the Secret Wars, which I think is going to have a heavy Nick Fury element. That shape-shifting scrolls. It doesn't matter. Again, I follow this stuff for a living, and I've watched all of the Marvel stuff. I cannot tell you right now what they are planning, what they've got coming out, just because I have myself kind of checked out a little bit. I don't care as much as I used to.
Well, I've got one question I've got to get you to answer. I've got you to fact check for me. A Thiel was my guest for an hour this week. Fascinating conversation. But at one point, we're talking about communist China and debating what to call it. And he said there hasn't been a movie with a China villain in it since 1997. The Last Emperor or Three Emperors or something like that. And I thought, I got to ask Sonny that. Is that correct?
Well, there was, I think you can officially look at the last one as being Red Corner, the Richard Gere movie, in which he plays a TV executive who goes to China and gets framed for murder, and winds up in the
That's pretty wild, isn't it?
So that's basically the last one. I can't remember when that came out, if that was late 90s or early aughts. But yeah, that's pretty much the last one. Peter Thiel might be thinking of Kundun, the Martin Scorsese movie, which is kind of about the ravaging of Tibet. But yeah, no, I mean, China really it has not been treated villainously in a long time, and that's because American studios wanted the Chinese box office to be open to them.
If you read what he writes about the co-option of Hollywood, he is dead on. He also, by the way, says Republicans are co-opted by different forces, but Hollywood is co-opted by the box office. And I thought he actually just articulated what you've said a few times on this show in succinct fashion for a tech guy, which is, no one dare upset the Chinese anywhere, anytime. And That ain't going to work. Sonny Bunch has 2 podcasts, Across the Movie Aisle with Sonny Bunch and The Bulwark Goes to the Movies. They're both great fun. And you should follow Sonny on Twitter at Sonny Bunch. Read his reviews when they appear in the Post. And come right back for more of today's Hugh Hewitt Show.